This is Marketing Jam, a podcast featuring the brightest minds in Canadian marketing.
Oh, we're into live, right? Are we into live now?
Yeah.
Sweet. Hey.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Good morning. We're here with Cision. And full disclosure, just so we're aware, at Jelly, right now, we're trying to figure out by the end of Q1, which is the end of March, whether to go with Cision or Meltwater, which are two of the largest PR software support programs, for lack of a better term. Yeah. I'm sure James has a better terminology for what they do and what they call themselves, but we as a PR agency, Jelly, who is the sponsor of the Marketing Jam podcast, is a PR agency, and we have used Google Sheets, much like many PR agencies, and we've used various software programs over the years that we've tried and tested, and so right now we're really trying to make the decision of where to kind of go deep with and which product to choose. So this is on a personal level and a professional level. I'm really excited for this interview. So, perfect. Awesome. So why don't we start up, share your name, the brand you're with, and the role you have with that brand.
Yeah, I'm James Rubec. I'm the product manager for Canada Platforms. What that means is all of the systems that you were just discussing and evaluating, my job is to make sure they work really well, and that the business, my business, Cision, well, it's not my company, but that it's ready to serve the PR industry in Canada as best it can.
That's awesome.
I work with a team of support specialists and developers cross-functionally across our Newswire business as well. Yeah. For those who don't know, Cision is the world's largest media monitoring and business intelligence in the communication space company in the world.
Wow.
We're also the largest distributor of news releases.
Wow.
About 15 months ago, we picked up a company called PR Newswire, which in Canada is the Canadian Newswire.
Yeah.
So we have the push and pull.
Own that.
Well, yeah, that's ours.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful addition to our company.
Yeah. And the reason the wire still exists, even though maybe for some organizations and companies it isn't fruitful, but as a publicly traded company, you're necessary. You have to put stuff on the wire, right?
Well, yeah, there are disclosure requirements in both the United States and Canada, but outside of that, actually, the wire business has grown.
Yeah, and if you do it right, but I think a lot of people have tried wires in the past and haven't done it right, or they just thought they threw in the wire and it kind of went to the wind and maybe hope for the best.
Well, it's part of a brand strategy. You need to be able to put your messaging out into the market, into the hands of journalists, and into the hands of the public.
Yeah.
And one of the most effective ways to do that is to get a third party, such as PR Newswire, CNW, Canadian Newswire, to share that message for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot more technical aspects to the wire than just a website. You know, if you go to newswire.ca, you can see the 300-400 news releases that are being sent by Canadian companies every single day.
Yeah.
And beyond that, though, we have technology that gets that news release into the hands of every single stock terminal and editorial terminal in the world at the same time. It's called simultaneous disclosure.
And so it's not just a big shotgun, you're saying, it's becoming more of a strategic shotgun. Yeah. So it's not just a spray and pray.
Yeah, absolutely.
You figured a way to make it more refined and purposeful.
And beyond that, every single news release that we send is actually pushed through a human editor.
Yeah, okay.
There are things that
At Cision,
at CNW and Canadian Newswire and Cision Canada.
Part of your subscription if you become a Cision client? As part of your, it comes, that's part of the package?
Every single news release gets edited by a human.
Yeah.
It will catch errors all the time.
And then they vet it to be like, okay, this is a better way to send it on the wire. Or this is the wires it should go to.
We do SEO consultation as well through these editors.
Wow.
And with that, what we're able to do is drive more eyeballs to the content that's being shared.
Yeah.
And is more likely to be picked up by our partner sites.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, before we jump in too much, I know we're getting going there, but tell me as a professional, you live here and work in Toronto area?
Absolutely, yeah.
What are some apps on your phone, your mobile device, that you're loving to help you kind of get through the day and with your job? Yeah,
so the first one, I start my day in commuting, I listen to podcasts through Pocket Casts.
Okay.
So I have a Google Pixel. Pocket Casts is my ride or die app for podcasts.
Okay.
Then as I go through it, there's Twitter.
Yeah.
I can't survive without Twitter. I'm on it all the time. I love engaging on it.
Yeah.
It's a great platform.
Okay.
And I'm still a big fan of the Notes app.
Okay.
On the Pixel and just on any Android device. I had an iPhone for a little while. It didn't have that Notes app, and it was impacting my creativity. I just write up notes. I write up entire articles. Write up product plans in some cases. And then I emailed them to myself. It's a huge productivity gain for me.
No, I use the Notes app on my iPhone all the time now, and it auto syncs with my computer. I know there's like Evernote and all these other fancier note ones, but I just like the the note program that comes with the iPhone.
Yeah, they make it so good, so easy.
Yeah.
It's a smooth transition between the day. So, we moved from Google to Office 365.
Okay,
So I actually use the Outlook app on
Yep.
my phone or my Pixel all the time.
Yep.
And initially I was like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it now.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so with your day-to-day life, do you end up creating a lot of content? Do you go on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, or you?
Not as much as I used to. So
Okay.
a little bit of my backstory at Cision. I started about 3.5 years ago working as the content marketing and social media manager for just the Canadian business.
Oh, wow.
So
you were there. You were in the trenches.
I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was the dude tweeting. I wrote 200 blog posts in a year and a half.
Wow.
White papers. We did the
Wow.
State of the Media survey.
What?
And I asked, we polled 1,500 journalists last year across North America, asking their
James.
questions about all of the state of affairs in PR and in the media.
So here's a question. Does there exist, and I was looking at the search a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
a chart which explains like Quebecor, Postmedia, Black Glacier, and all the properties that they own, and Bell, and it breaks it all down?
There is.
I haven't found it anywhere.
Newspapers Canada,
Newspapers
has
Canada.
a really good list of this.
Okay, like who CTV owns and who, because right now like they've been trading and shifting, like 24 hours shut down,
Yep.
and some things they've been Black and Glacier or swap stuff. But I'd love to see a list of like who owns what and that land, that picture.
Well, we could do that.
Okay.
And what we also have is through our media database, you can identify outlets and then see where the outlets roll up and all the different news desks for those outlets.
Oh, totally. But it'd just be cool to see one big chart, so like an infographic.
Yeah, no, Newspapers Canada has a good one.
Really?
So they're doing a pretty good job of
And maybe
tracking different
updating
issues.
it every 6 months or.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll check that out.
We also have a team of researchers.
Okay.
So our database is based off of human researchers evaluating specific journalists.
They could probably whip that infographic up in a day or so.
I have it in a spreadsheet right now.
Yeah. Okay.
We've also made a recent acquisition of a company called Cedrum.
Okay.
And what Cedrum does is they are experts at archiving content and digitizing it.
Wow.
So what newspapers will do is they'll work with Cedrum to turn their newspapers, community newspapers, into PDFs, and then they digitize that and put that back on their website.
Wow. But not stuff from 1999 though, or 2000, would they?
Actually, yeah. Yeah, we have stuff that dates back to 1876.
So here's a mission for you,
Yeah.
if you should so accept it. For after this interview, I was featured in the Times Colonist in the year 2000.
Awesome.
About a little thing I started, a little project I started.
Amazing.
So I was trying to find the article to show my wife the other night, and I couldn't find it online because the Times Colonist didn't have that article.
I
from 2000.
can check our archive.
Okay, so my name, Darian Kovacs.
Yep.
It was called Canada Fire
Canada Fire.
and Times Colonist.
What was it?
It was a little project I started back when I was in university. So
Yeah.
you'll see. I'll leave it as a
So
mystery.
I lived in Yellowknife.
Okay.
I worked up there.
Okay.
I worked for an organization called the Northern News Services.
Cool.
I was the editorial production manager.
Okay.
And part of my role was I'd go in the community and also do some writing. I've always
Very
been a
cool.
writer, and
Yeah.
I was able to find content that was behind the paywall that was only put in print in a paper called the Yellowknifer.
That's cool.
So it's so fun to reach back. It's like, oh yeah, that story that I wrote about beavers being trapped on this pond in Yellowknife. It's always nice to be able to go back and look into your history.
Have you seen a beaver in the wild?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots?
I lived by this lake called Niven Lake.
Okay.
And on Niven Lake, there was a beaver dam that had a family of 6 beavers.
Okay.
So yeah, we'd see them all the time. I saw wolves on walking home.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have a beaver dam. My hometown is Fort Langley, so
Amazing.
historic Fort Langley. And there's a beaver dam in Fort Langley in Bedford Landing. And I keep going there to try to see the beaver, but I haven't seen the beaver. Because I read the Narnia series growing up in the beaver family that helped.
They're mean.
Oh, they
Beavers?
are? Oh.
Beavers are mean.
Because in Narnia, they're nice.
No,
They're
no,
like
no.
the nice. They gave the young Lucy, hot cocoa, and food, and jackets.
That's. I'm going to slander some beavers right now.
Yeah,
They are terrors.
But
They
roots, it's their symbol and the emblem. It's our nickel.
No. A beaver in the wild makes some horrible noises. They tear down trees. If you have a home and a beaver's eating all your trees, that's a problem.
Oh yeah.
So that's why they had to trap some of the beavers.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's a sad little rabbit trail there, or beaver trail.
I'm beaver damned.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Speaking of Cision, it's where you work.
Yes.
It's a product that's out there. You made this amazing coffee mug, so thank you for this. My team knows and people know I have a weakness for swag, and so
Awesome.
I was on the floor, and this was actually the best swag at DX3 here.
Those are some serious mugs.
Yeah, like I will keep this and use this, and the Cision brand will be seen and heard.
Carried forward onto the end of time.
Yeah, because some of the swag was like cheap pens that may last a few days, or it's gonna get broken or snapped or whatever. So good for you for investing in nice swag. It says a lot about the brand.
I guess it's emblematic of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
So being, and again, this is kind of a nice case study and story here. So I'm being someone who's at a PR agency.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of PR agencies in Canada, especially. And there's a lot of small shops. And especially, there's a lot of single person shops. So it's a one person show. And they may have 4 or 5 clients, and they may not have a big budget, right, or a large overhead to be able to afford a software. Mm-hmm. But they know the pressure and they feel the pressure of being able to keep up with the Rolodex. And so they've looked at Muck Rack, they've gotten the meltwater calls and the aggressive emails. So my thoughts are again, I know you can't be completely agnostic, but someone who's in the shoes, let's focus on maybe a solopreneur PR rep. Mm-hmm. What is the minimal investment that they could make to get into Cision, and why should they do that?
So our Canada package for our database is between $3,500 and $4,000, depending on the brand size.
So her commitment that's for 1 year.
That's for 1 year.
So let's say it's $4,000 for a year. She has to decide, okay, it's $4,000 I need to invest kind of as an overhead, and what does she get for that?
Within that database, it's not just a database.
Okay.
I can track everything that the media is saying inside that database.
But I'm gonna argue back at you. So she has Google Alerts set up.
That's great. But what you can do is I can search against everything every single journalist in our database is saying in real time. And track everything they're saying on Twitter and in all the news commentary they make.
Google Alerts is only what's on the web.
That's fair. This is also
you're doing Twitter.
Twitter and mainstream news as well. Now a Google Alert, it's kind of hit and miss.
Okay.
The challenge is for a PR professional is actually being able to identify the journalists that are interested in your topic at that time.
So she can also search topics
as
well as the brand name.
So we have a system called Talking About. I type in literally whatever I want.
And that's part of the $4,000.
That's part of the $4,000. Talking About comes up, and I can search the entire database of what everyone's saying over the last 90 days.
So she's thinking, I get $4,000, I'm getting a database, that's massive Rolodex.
Massive Rolodex.
That's updated on the daily, would you say, or weekly?
We have 20 researchers constantly updating the database.
In Canada?
In Canada.
For Canadian
media.
It's like the Golden Gate Bridge. Like Sally got let go at the Vancouver Sun last week.
Exactly.
Right? And you know that.
We'll contact the...
But she became a freelancer, and she's freelancing for the Globe now.
And then she becomes an influencer.
Yes, of course she is. Yeah, okay.
And we're tracking that as well.
Because you have 20 full-time people that do that.
We have operations all over the world.
But those 20 people in Canada, they're just they're creepers, essentially.
Yes, but they also, so we build relationships.
But in professional creepers.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have, so what we do is we build
we call them researchers, though.
They are.
Yeah.
We build very strong relationships with the media.
Yeah.
One, because of the Newswire. We've been around for a long time doing it.
They need you, you need them.
And that means we can call up a publisher.
Yeah.
And at that level, and understand who's actually working there.
Yeah, and they'll be full disclosure to you because they want,
because it helps them interact with all of the brands that will hopefully be advertisers.
But what are freelancers? That's a hard thing to track.
Also added into this database is an engagement system. Okay. So you can track all the activities, whether it's outbound calls, or it's meetings that you're booking, or it's an email pitch that you're going to go through an HTML template.
It comes with a CRM.
It's a CRM for PR professionals to work with the media. That's it.
Part of the package.
That's a very good way to describe it. That's what's included. So database, all these systems for identifying individuals, list management, but also engagement systems.
Wow. So they buy it.
Yep.
And it's $4,000 for a one-person shop.
And they buy it a day later. They can access the full database and work with it directly.
And they have a CRM.
Yep.
And they have a what's people talking about.
Yep.
And what else? What else is it? Is that because that seems like a lot.
Social media engagement, publishing, scheduling.
What's that? Like Hootsuite, Hootsuite, Sprout Social.
Yeah, it's somewhat analogous to that. I'd say that.
Is it any good?
Our publishing system?
Yeah.
It's great because it tracks back to a campaign.
Okay.
So you can add it to your PR campaign, and as a communicator, you can tag all the activities that you're doing to engage with journalists and report that back to a client. So it's not just a...
So it's like a bit.ly that you give the journalists to what they're posting on social, or is it you posting stuff on social as the brand?
You posting stuff as the brand, yeah.
On your own social?
On your own social and track it back
to
your
your
campaign.
If they're a PR professional and but they don't do social, they don't need that part though?
No, but it's included. So
Okay.
maybe
But
they're
a lot of
working,
people with
if
the
they're
social-
working with a brand that they need to manage their social.
Yes.
And track it back and show that they are doing engagement.
Yeah.
Proving that engagement's actually happening.
Okay.
Sometimes people ask that. in
No,
the
of
industry.
course. No,
Yeah.
it's huge. What I'm finding, I love that you guys have realized that, because I found like 5 years ago when we started Jelly, we were one of the first PR agencies that also did social media.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, more and more PR agencies are realizing social media is PR.
It
It's
is.
just digital PR. And even Microsoft, their Vancouver PR director, also does their social, because it's the same thing.
They need to.
Yeah, I think people are realizing it's the same world.
Social media is the media.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happened certainly in the last 10 years, but if we even go back further, if we go back 500 years, the difference now is publishing capacity.
Yeah.
Back before the Gutenberg press, if you were the Pope, you could get monks to scribe books and you could share that message. If you were a king, you could command your subjects.
Yeah.
A baron could command the people they work with directly.
Yeah.
Rolling back up 300 years later, not much had actually changed. Newspapers meant that individuals, moguls, business owners could advertise. It's a fairly limited scope.
Yeah.
Politicians could get a message out in a speech.
Conrad Black could own the presses.
That's right.
And he could say, stop the presses!
That's like 2% of people, though.
Yeah.
Right? Journalists are not everybody.
Yeah.
And before digital came into the fore, every single person couldn't get their stupid ideas out into the public.
Yeah.
Today, 76% of Canadians are on social media.
Yeah.
They are publishing more content than has ever been published in the world, but they're also interacting with each other directly. That's why we're seeing a diffusion in the media.
And Twitter actually yesterday said, we're not actually a social media. We're a news outlet.
That's right.
Which I never heard that before. I kind of knew it, but she said it. She's like, no, don't call us social media, call us a news outlet.
And that's how we treat Twitter. And
Micro
they're a
news.
great partner of ours as well.
Okay, very
Yeah.
cool. So this person's considering it. Do you have packages over and above that 4,000 a year? Is that what you sell? That's your core product tool resource?
We have the Cision Communications Cloud.
That's on top of that if you want to
So
upgrade.
the database itself is the Cision Communications Cloud. But in addition to that, you can get monitoring baked directly into the system as well.
And how much is that pack? What's that extra?
It depends on what you need to monitor.
Okay.
And where you need to monitor it.
Okay, so let's just say just Canada, and she's got 5 clients.
So we have a social media, online and print monitoring package for
Okay.
$12,000.
And is that per each one of her brands?
No.
Unlimited brands?
To a point where we have an unlimited volume package.
Yeah.
You can monitor anything you want with that package.
But that's 3 times as much as the 4,000 package.
Well, content is expensive.
Okay.
So one of the big differences between us and some of our competitors is we pay effective royalties to the media. We're a partner of the media.
Oh, so that
So
cloud
that content that
Yeah.
you're ingesting is actually someone else's work.
Oh.
And as a PR professional or as a corporate brand, if we don't reciprocate the fact that we're earning money off of content, we're technically breaking copyright law.
So if she upgrades and pays the extra 12 on top of the 4.
No, it's included. The database is included in the 12.
Okay. So instead of her just paying 4, she's paying 12. So she's paying an additional 8.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So she pays the additional 8. What does that look like? What does her upgrade package look like?
So what that comes with is a dedicated customer service, a CSM, customer service management professional.
Okay.
In this case, they will help them set up all of their keywords, engage with them on a daily basis in some cases to ensure that they're getting the full usage of the platform. Includes email alerts, news forwards, reporting, analytics. You can do dashboarding. I could show you how to segment and categorize millions of mentions in the system.
So here's the question. There's, and I can't remember the term on top of my head right now. It's like an acronym for it, but CPRS.
Yes.
Canadian Public Relations Society.
Absolutely.
Put out a tool that said, we have the Canadian tool that says, you need to buy this, and I think it was $1,000 a year, and it's going to tell you like, okay, we did a campaign for a client and got in 10 publications, and it has a rating of each of those publications. Do you know this tool, what I'm talking about?
You're talking about MRP.
MRP, yes.
Yes.
The media rating
Points.
Yeah. So what is that? What is an MRP to the everyday regular person?
MRP is an effective way to benchmark your campaigns against other PR firms.
And do you believe in MRP numbers?
Well, MRP is its own product. And it
created by CPRS?
Created by, currently owned by a company called Fifth Story. They're a wonderful company to work with.
And they made it on their own and just created it, but CPRS endorses it.
Yep, and CPRS is a great organization as well,
Yeah.
and we've historically partnered with them very closely.
Yeah, you would think.
There are different types of metrics.
Okay.
Some metrics are core business metrics.
Yeah.
So you could think of revenue or leads generated.
Well, I tell you, our biggest one for our clients is, so we'll get an article in the Vancouver Sun for a client, and they want to get pre-registrations for a new housing development.
That's right.
So we say, okay, we got an article in the Sun, and we use Google Analytics, free tool.
Perfect.
And it tracks, okay, we brought in, 300 people came from Vancouver Sun this weekend. It was in the Saturday Sun. And of the 300, 114 pre-registered for this new development.
That's outstanding.
So but that's free stuff we just do on our own manually using analytics.
So we can integrate your Google Analytics account for your client into the Comms Cloud and track conversions and revenue generated if that's how you've set up your Google Analytics.
It's more, for this case, like another client.
That case is just conversions, right? So are they converting to actually fill the lead form?
Totally.
Yeah.
But what do you do on top of what we're already doing that analytics does for us?
So
can you tell me the eyeballs on that article?
we can track impressions down from the press release that you sent.
But not eyeballs on that article I earned in the Sun.
No, because the Sun doesn't share that information publicly.
Why is that?
Well, because it's their private data.
But they share it to advertisers because they tell advertisers how many eyeballs are on it.
Yes, but advertisers are paying them a great deal of money.
Okay.
So that's the return on investment that the advertiser is selling to a client.
Okay.
So if Sun Media sells an ad, they need to be able to report that back to their client.
Okay.
In this case, we're monitoring and we pay royalties to them to access their content and to use it in our platform. But we don't have a data partnership to collect every single page view, every single article written in Canada.
So the MRP, what is that? How do they rate it then? Because I think the best rating is how many eyeballs. Or because
impressions is a very good way to analyze content.
But you're guessing most of the time.
It's an estimate.
It's always an estimate.
Unless, though, you're distributing through a system that we call Cision Impact.
Okay, which is?
Cision Impact, we put a pixel on a press release that gets sent out, and that gets tracked through to the end state sites where that content lives.
Okay.
And in that case, we can identify, not personal information, but aggregated information on the demographics and actually who's seen what. It's deployed in the United States right now, but it will be coming to Canada.
And if we have a unique URL on that release, I can see how many people clicked on that URL.
Even further that, in our CRM, as you've discussed in the database, we have full click tracking, open rates, bounce rates. It's a full email platform for engaging with journalists.
Okay.
So one thing I like to separate though is there are vanity metrics that, hey, if this, like a rating is great, but what I need to know is, am I changing brand perceptions? This is one of the biggest challenges. This is one of the biggest challenges in PR is if we're measuring ourselves against estimates or measuring ourselves against things that only matter to another PR company, we're not actually helping our clients.
No, so what's the point?
So brand perception is what we need to track.
And does MRP do brand perception?
No, it's a rating of the quality of an article that's subjective. Do I have an image in the article?
Yeah.
Is my executive mentioned? Were there key messages that were deployed?
That's all the ratings
And that's manual. That's what we do. You do that manually within our MRP.
So you don't need MRP?
I'm not going to say that. I think there's a lot of people that value it. I think historically it does help people understand, was this campaign successful from a PR perspective? Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. But PR professionals need to do more than that.
And an MRP is, the benefit of MRP is it's a third party doing the judging for you.
Well, you still have to evaluate your content.
Which I notice you can change the level of things in there, so it's totally skewed.
I mean, but so are other metrics like publicity value.
Yeah.
Publicity value, I mean, we talked about advertising.
Yeah.
Advertisers don't even attribute their quality by what people have spent. Advertisers are measured by what is the return on investment.
Yeah.
And that's where, as close to as we can get it in PR and marketing, that's what we needed to get to. What did my campaign do for the business? What did my campaign do for the organization that I'm representing? Was there a brand perception that has shifted? You look at it this way. If you look at an organization like Dying with Dignity, they did an outstanding job individually selling judges, lawyers, politicians, doctors on one simple thing. Assisted suicide is a crime. Doctor-assisted death is a procedure. They told that story over and over and over and again until you could track this in the media. It went from people saying assisted suicide to the phrase becoming doctor-assisted death.
Yeah, yeah.
And as that shifted, as the brand perception issue shifted, they were able to win a Supreme Court battle, and the law changed.
And did they use
That's
the
PR.
Cision tool?
Well, I did a little bit of work with them in blog writing when I started.
Yeah.
They were the 2015 Story of the Year according to the Globe and Mail.
Yeah.
And I called them up and said, how did you do that? They told me the story. And I did an analysis for them, and we published it live on Cision's site.
That's really cool.
So,
is it still there now?
Yeah, it's still available. So another thing, if you're trying to think of what success in PR is, it's not just, did I get a lot of impressions?
Yeah.
What is the end goal? What is actually the goal of the communication campaign?
Of course.
So a cool example too, Starbucks.
Yeah.
Great company.
Yeah.
Starbucks in 2013 announced that they were going to hire 10,000 military veterans.
Okay.
Great campaign, they got a lot of press out of it.
Yeah.
Last year, they said they're going to hire 10,000 refugees. And it created a huge controversy.
Yeah.
People were saying boycott Starbucks.
Wow.
But what happens is their defenders, including veterans who have been hired, said, wait a minute. This controversy where people are saying, well, maybe we should be hiring veterans instead of refugees, Starbucks already did that.
Yeah, yeah.
They're playing chess.
Yeah.
And successful brand management, successful brand growth is about positioning yourself in the most optimal light and working directly with partners and with communities.
Okay.
If you can't track the perceptions that are shifting with the metrics that you're looking at, you're looking at the wrong metrics.
Okay. No, that's good
So
advice.
the evaluation that I like doing is, for every single metric that you're going to collect, you have to evaluate what the actual impact of the metric is going to be. What action do you want to take after you've measured that data?
And that's what the upgraded $8,000 does. Is
Gives you the ability to categorize that and do that work.
Because otherwise you have the tools and then you have the tracking. Those are the two products you mostly sell.
So you can also manually code your content similar to what you could do in MRP. So we have something called custom fields. You can create a limited custom fields that you want. And be able to manage to the clip level or in a bulk perspective all of your clips. And you can make up your own metrics if you need to. What does your client need to be, what do they value? Build metrics and do monitoring around that.
So if it's $12,000, here's a question. Do you offer packages that a PR firm or a person, say in maybe a small shop, I mean, I'm going back to this small shop with 5 clients, solopreneur, PR professional who might be listening to this. Can she pay $1,000 a month for a year?
We do have the ability to bill monthly.
You do?
Yeah.
The 12,000?
Yeah. You
Maybe
can bill monthly.
Maybe you charge more. Maybe you charge 13 because it's payment plan.
It's all dependent on what works for them.
Okay.
We have credit terms. We could pay by credit card. You can pay by invoice.
I'm just thinking.
This is.
I'm just thinking of her in her shoes.
Any way that a PR firm needs to be billed, it's fine.
I'm thinking. I know PR firms could pay this out the way, and I'm sure they're hearing this and listening to this. There's PR firms that watch this as well. But I'm thinking of the solopreneur that doesn't have $12,000 capital up front to, because that's a big capital expense.
Yes.
But you allow her to pay it over the year.
Yes.
Which is awesome. Or him.
Yes.
Let's stop calling her.
Well, it's International Women's Day, so
perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So switching themes and topics, I'm curious about the Cision platform.
Awesome.
Does it have the ability, like we're talking about influencers or content creators, let's call them, and we just interviewed, of course, the Lustless. She was here on the show.
She's wonderful.
She's wonderful, and you were saying she's on the Cision platform.
Yep.
Does it show her, like, can I look in the database and it says her Instagram following, and is that updated, and does it show her Facebook fans and her estimated blog reach?
It shows estimated blog reach by UVPM as we pull it out of Alexa and MozRank.
Okay, explain UVPM for people that don't.
So unique visitors per month.
Unique visitors per month that you pull from MozRank and Alexa.
But we have it's called Cision Digital Reach, a proprietary metric that we pull from multiple
sources. Built
sources.
into your tool.
Built into the tool.
This is incredible. And do you also do you upgrade our Instagram followers?
Yeah, so we do a live API call to Instagram every time you open up her page.
What?
Yep, and you can see the things that she's saying. You can see how people are engaging.
And does
with
it
her.
say what topics
and same with
she
Twitter
covers?
As well. It does, and we'll have a full bio that one of our researchers will have written. And they're pitching notes. I don't want to be pitched on Wednesdays. I don't want you to send products.
Whose notes are those? Is it notes we put in or notes someone else has put in?
You can put in. We absolutely have a notes section, but it's also what our research team, has communicated with this.
Like, don't mail her stuff. It doesn't have their mailing addresses, though, does it?
It does, and their phone numbers and their email addresses.
What?
How are you going to do PR if you can't call somebody?
But you provide that for people.
Absolutely.
So the next question is do you? Okay, here's the big whatever $12,000 question.
Sure.
Does it have how much they are charging now for advertorial or sponsored content?
We haven't added in rate cards yet.
Not yet.
But it's
soon.
something we're looking at.
Oh, because that would be amazing.
It's available. Why not include it? So
No, you're not there yet.
We're doing that. We're adding in more purely social influencers this year. That's what our research team is focusing on, because we've covered the the journalist space, and we continue to update it every single day.
The editorial side of things.
But we need to add more social influencers in. Yeah.
Okay, but here's the other thing.
It's a constant battle to get more and more people in there. It's
So
great.
in our office, I'll just use this as an example, and I'm sure this is tons of offices across Canada. We pitch a group like Daily Hive, right? They're in Toronto now. They're
Wonderful
They're in
outlet.
Vancouver, right? They started in Vancouver. They're amazing. So we'll pitch an article and they'll cover stories. They're amazing. They got incredible journalists, incredible writers. Farhan, the editor, was on the show recently. Great show, by the way. He talks about what it's like being an editor and how to pitch him and stuff. But then there's some of our content that we know is advertorial. We know is going to be sponsored content. We know we want a contest out of it. We know we want to partner with Daily Hive. So we have a tool. We use Google Sheets right now, and we have a link that goes to a uploaded version of their updated media kit or their rate card. So if we do the switch over to Cision, I want to know that I can easily scan through and have a link to their rate card. So is there a way I can put all my rate cards up into Cision?
You could take a link and put it in notes. So it's private notes. Our team won't go in and scoop them.
But I don't mind if you have access to that.
You could add the rate card in as a Google Sheet link inside notes. Yeah.
Inside notes. So the next question is that have you considered crowdsourcing all the rate cards? So if I've put in I upload 30 rate cards.
We would love to do that. That would be an amazing project.
Can you do that now, or that isn't part of your plan now?
We are not a paid advertising system, right?
But that's the way it's shifting, though.
It would be very helpful, and maybe it's something we'll be able to do in the future, but it's not something we're working on just this moment.
Not at the moment?
No.
Okay, but you hear where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
The whole landscape shifted. Even in the last 6 months, it's changed radically.
Of course.
Like post-media, right? We'll pitch them, but again, 63 of their journalists were let go last year, right? From the Vancouver Sun and the province.
Well, if you also read through those papers, it's a lot more Associated Press content in there than I've seen previously.
Yeah, and so on that, so I'm trying to reach someone at Vancouver Sun Province, but now they're just saying advertorial.
Yeah.
So we always all right, send us your latest rate card, or all right, we have a rate card, and well, it's been updated. So it'd be nice if there was a constant updated rate card that we could access all the time, or that it was crowdsourced so that all us PR folks were.
Well, there's a really great service for that.
Okay.
It's called Card. It's produced by advertisers in Canada. There's a network.
Okay.
It's a book that you can subscribe to.
Okay.
So we're not going to probably build that because it's already built.
And would Daily Hive be in there yet, or other influencers?
Well, Daily Hive would be in there most likely because they're a larger publication. They have really great reach.
But some of the small ones probably aren't, like Surrey 604 or the Lust List. Maybe she wouldn't be in there.
You're right. There's probably an opportunity
for Card
for somebody.
What's
to
that company
aggregate
called?
That.
Card.
I think it's just Card.
Card
online.
Okay.
And that's where you can get all of your advertising rates.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, talking about Associated Press, who are they? So for those that are curious.
So they're journalists and editors that produce news that they then sell the content to other newspapers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are they based? Is there an office?
They're based globally. The Associated Press is huge.
Okay. And then the Canadian Associated Press
is the Canadian Press.
And how do you become a Canadian Associated Press reporter?
You apply and you start writing.
Okay.
They'll take commissions as well, and
Yeah.
people can pitch them and start working with them directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're part of your database, of course, who are all the Canadian Associated Press writers.
Yep.
And they love getting your wires and that people pay for.
Yep. And a lot of people work for multiple outlets.
Okay.
So what our system does is
it tells you all that.
So it's one contact.
Yeah.
With all of the outlets and contact information for each one of those outlets.
So here's the next question: with someone from the Associated Press, you want to send them a wire. You want to send a wire to all these folks. Do you charge every time? For the $4,000 subscription, do you have to charge extra on top for every wire?
Wire releases are different than the database.
Yes,
you
of
can
course.
we have unlimited email pitching and list management and pitching to that list. So
which is awesome.
If you find the Associated Press writer you want to contact in the database, email them as much as you want through the platform. It's free.
But if we want
it's
to
unlimited.
wire, but if we have a publicly traded company, we're required to wire. Do you charge? We have to pay a little bit extra every time, right, for the wire?
Well, every single wire release has a cost.
Yes.
Obviously, there's volume discounts that are available.
Yeah. But we buy it through Cision, right?
You buy it through the Canadian Newswire.
What's an average wire cost for someone that wants to send a 2-paragraph or 3-paragraph wire out to?
So we prefer people to do a minimum of 400 words.
Yeah, perfect.
So we don't look at it per paragraph.
Yeah.
$1,500 can get you a Canadian comprehensive release.
Yeah.
sent out nationally to thousands of journalists and
it's
outlets.
great. Okay, that's
Yeah.
really cool. So I have a client that wants to just reach people that are health bloggers, or you just want to reach, say, Christian media in Canada. Do you have that? And then someone can just Google Christian media Canada.
So
in Cision.
In Cision, you will be able to pull up anyone who has that in their bio, who is identifying as, I'm a writer about
Or your researchers
Christianity in Canada.
have identified
They've added
them.
that in. And then, or you could use talking about and identify people who are talking about that issue.
What if
in
someone,
real time? So instead of pitching someone when you think they might be interested, because they might be interested last year, are they interested this minute?
Yeah.
And how can you help them tell the story that they're telling today?
So
that's how you get good coverage fast.
See, that's cool.
And I was a PR professional.
Yeah.
I worked for Randstad doing PR for English Canada.
So you're getting my questions here.
I've done this.
Yeah.
I've pitched journalists. I've worked with PR agencies and as an individual working in PR in both Cision and at Randstad. I mean, great companies, great opportunities. They have great data. I've had a wonderful career building out, telling stories with data.
Yeah.
But if you don't pitch people at the right time, you're gonna miss the boat.
How many people are in the database that are just not a blog, not a website, but just an Instagram account?
I don't know today.
Okay, but you have, would you say a handful?
It's growing.
You've considered them as...
It's a growing aspect of what the research team is building out.
It's amazing. So those of you that are listeners that want to purchase or have a further conversation about buying a Cision package, whether the 4,000 or the 12,000.
Yeah, or any of our services, whether it's a managed service where we do an analysis report.
Yeah, how do they do this? How do they go ahead?
Well, contact me.
Okay, and how do they do that?
You can hit me up at James R. Rubec on Twitter, or you can email me at james.rubec@cision.com. I'm a pretty open book.
Okay, and that's Canadian too, right? Canadian funds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many of the things we buy these days are in the U.S., right?
We're a Canadian company.
Yeah.
We're obviously global.
Yeah.
We're a publicly traded company, but we have a very large team in Canada.
Yeah. And if someone signs up, will you send them one of these great coffee mugs?
I can't guarantee it'll be that one.
But you will send them something cool, some sort of cool swag.
I will endeavor to be great with them.
Okay.
I don't know if we send every person swag.
So you know what swag would be great for you guys is hand sanitizer, because reporters shake hands a lot.
We've done this. So
hand sanitizer would be great.
So we've had pens that were called, on them they said, spread your news, not your germs.
Yeah, nice.
So just to give you some scale, we work with close to 8,000 companies in Canada, helping them distribute their news and monitor.
Awesome.
And that's in every single province and every single territory.
Yeah.
If I sent everybody a coffee cup, I'd be broke.
No, of course.
That'd be my whole marketing budget.
Yeah. But I appreciate you being here. Appreciate
Wonderful.
The one coffee mug that I got. This has been really informative. I hope you've had a good time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, you answered some great questions. I think a lot of people are wondering this stuff, and I think a lot of people are intimidated by. I think what happens often is Cision and Meltwater and all these folks come at us as agencies, and because we can get confused or overwhelmed. Thank you for breaking it down for us, what it looks like, what the products are, and how someone can actually purchase them.
Great.
So thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Cheers.